जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवास आदि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Krishna. So, chapter 1, questions by the sages. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanshalakhya Chakshuntamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Okay. Okay, text 1. Okay, no introduction. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo
नमो
Bhagavate
भगवते
Vasu.
वासुदेवाय।
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
Yeah. Text 1. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
जन्माद्य अस्य यतोऽन्वयाद्
जन्मादि
अस्तो
यतो अन्वयात्
इतरतश्चार्थेष्वभिज्ञः स्वराट्
इतरतश्चार्थे
इतरत चास्ते
अभिज्ञा स्वराट्।
उद्देश्वरा।
तेने ब्रह्महृदाय आदिकवये
तेने
तेने
ब्रह्म हृदय
ब्रह्महृदाय
आदि कवये
आदिकवये
मुह्यन्ति यत्सूरयः।
मुह्यन्ति
मुह्यन्ति
यत्
यत्
सूरयः।
सूर्य।
तेजो वारि मृदां यथा विनिमयो
तेजो
तेजो
वारि मृदां
वारि
यथा
मृदा
विनिमयो
विनिमयो।
यत्र त्रिसर्गो अमृषा
यत्र त्रिसर्गो मृषा।
त्रिसर्गो मृषा।
धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकम्
दाम्ना स्वेन सदा
नाशेन सदा
निरस्तकुहकम्
निर्वाहकम्।
सत्यं परं धीमहि।
सत्यं परं
सत्यं
धीमहि।
परं धीमहि।
Yes. So would someone like to read the translation and the first paragraph?
I can do two.
Yes, please.
Hare Krishna. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Swami Prabhupada. Translation. O my Lord, Sri Krishna, Son of Vasudeva, O all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. I meditate upon Lord Sri Krishna because he is the absolute truth and the primeval cause of all causes of the creation, sustenance and destruction of the manifested universes. He is directly and indirectly conscious of all manifestations, and he is independent because there is no other cause beyond him. It is he only who first imparted the Vedic knowledge into the heart of Brahmaji, the original living being. By him, even the great sages and demigods are placed into illusion, as one is bewildered by the illusory representations of water seen in fire or land seen on water. Only because of him do the material universes, temporarily manifested by the reactions of three modes of nature, appear factual, although they are unreal. I therefore meditate upon him, Lord Sri Krishna, who is eternally existent in the transcendental abode, which is forever free from the illusory representations of the material world. I meditate upon him, for he is the absolute truth. Purport. Obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Vasudeva, directly indicate Lord Sri Krishna, who is the divine son of Vasudeva and Devaki. This fact will be more explicitly explained in the text of this work. Sri Vasudeva asserts herein that Sri Krishna is the original personality of Godhead, and all others are his direct or indirect plenary portions or portions of the portion. Srila Jiva Goswami has even more explicitly explained the subject matter in his Krishna Sandarbha, and Brahma, the original living being, has explained the subject of Sri Krishna substantially in his treatise named Brahma Samhita. In an Upanishad in the Sama Veda, it is also stated that Lord Sri Krishna is the divine son of Devaki. Therefore, in this prayer, the first proportion holds that Lord Sri Krishna is the primeval Lord. And if any transcendental nomenclature is to be understood as belonging to the absolute personality of Godhead, it must be the name indicated by the word Krishna, which means all attractive. In the Bhagavad Gita, in many places, the Lord asserts himself to be the original personality of Godhead. And this is confirmed by Arjuna and also by great sages like Narada, Vyasa, and many others. In the Padma Purana, it is also stated that out of the innumerable names of the Lord, The name of Krishna is the principal one. Vasudeva indicates the plenary portion of the personality of Godhead, and all the different forms of the Lord being identical with Vasudeva are indicated in this text. The name Vasudeva particularly indicates the divine son of Vasudeva and Devaki. Sri Krishna is always meditated upon by the Paramahamsas, who are the perfected ones among those in the renounced order of life. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhu. So, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. See, in the philosophy of Nyaya, the subject must be established first before we start any discussion or we start any kind of argument or anything. So, here the subject matter is established first. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. That I meditate upon the Supreme Lord, who is the son of Vasudev, which is very clear. So we are directly establishing Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead here. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Because the rest of the discussion is going to be about him. Now, Srimad Bhagavatam, the speciality is that it is a layered philosophy. In Bhagavad Gita, the philosophy is presented in a linear manner. So Krishna starts with the science of the soul, moves on to Karma Yoga, then moves on to Jnana Yoga, then moves on to Dhyan, then moves on to the subject matter of the Supreme Person, the Supreme Absolute Truth, and eventually upon the modes of nature and how the living entity is entangled. Of course, the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita is not easy. It may be simple, but it's not easy. But philosophy of Srimad Bhagavatam is layered, is multi-layered. So one must be very attentive when trying to understand the Bhagavatam. Srila Prabhupada used to say that Bhagavad Gita is the graduate study of bhakti, is the graduate study of spiritual life. Srimad Bhagavatam is the master study. And Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita is the doctoral study of the science of bhakti. So you can imagine that the level now increases a little bit. So the level becomes a bit deeper, and therefore it is very important that we pay very careful attention. So actually, at all times when we are studying the Srimad Bhagavatam, we must keep the copy of Bhagavad Gita with us. And whenever we see any subject matter which seems a bit familiar, we should try to search it out in Bhagavad Gita. Because Sri Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam is an expansion of what Bhagavad Gita talks about. For example, when you study any subject matter, in the high school level, only the basics are introduced. In the university, at the bachelor's level, the subject matter is explored deeply. But in the master's level, one portion of that subject matter is explained very deeply. And then in doctoral studies, you actually, synthesize it further. So likewise, in the Srimad Bhagavatam that we are studying now, we are going to expand upon the middle 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita. Here, the subject matter of illusion itself will be treated as a part of the subject or part of the study of the Supreme Personality himself. Like in the Bhagavad Gita, for example, the philosophy of yoga is taught separately, and the entanglement of the living entity in material nature is treated as a subject. But in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the entanglement of the living entity within the material nature itself is treated as a study of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, of how his energy is interacting with the living entity and entangling him. So it's a very deep study. So therefore, it's very important that you are thorough in Bhagavad Gita before you start delving deeper into Srimad Bhagavatam. If you keep on revising Bhagavad Gita alongside Srimad Bhagavatam, you will find wonderful insights here. You will find many striking points, which will really enliven you. So, this particular verse that we are studying is actually the introduction to the whole of Bhagavad philosophy. Here, the subject matter of the Supreme Absolute Truth is introduced in complete details. So, like we discussed previously also, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, The first three cantos appear to be excruciatingly difficult, at least the second and third canto. The first canto is still a little bit more of itihas, but second and third cantos are quite difficult. That is because we are trying to now establish prema bhakti. In the 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna said, Sarva dharmana parityajya mama ekam sharanam vraja. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami mashucha. In short, Krishna said, surrender unto me. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, that process of surrender is now going to be explained in great details. How do we approach that point of surrender? Krishna gave two instructions actually. Man manaha bhava mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mame vaishyasi satyam te pratijane priyosi me. And then sarva dharmana parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja. So Krishna said, always think of me, become my devotee, worship me, offer your obeisances unto me, and you will come to me because you are dear to me. And then he said, just surrender unto me, abandon all varieties of religion, and I shall deliver you from all your sins, because you do not ma shucha. Don't worry, don't be anxious. So this is the subject matter of Srimad Bhagavatam, of how the great souls in the past have actually implemented it in their lives. So Srimad Bhagavatam is a part of the itihas or the history part. That's why it's Puranic. But the composition and presentation is Upanishadic. That means it explains the subject matter very deeply, does not treat it lightly. The Puranas treat the subject matter a bit lightly, they present it in a very flowing manner, but Srimad Bhagavatam doesn't do that. It goes in an Upanishadic manner, presenting the subject matter in depth. So, therefore, this very first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam is a Gayatri. That means it introduces us to the Supreme Lord. Satyam Param Dhimahi. On that absolute truth, I meditate. So bhakti cannot come. There is no question of love without respect. Or love without respect is actually contemptible. It is actually contempt. So therefore, before we delve into the subject matter of the Supreme Lord or the Supreme Personality, we must understand what the word absolute truth means, what the Supreme actually means. So each of these paragraphs of these purport will be actually dealing with each word of this verse. And that's why you see this purport is quite long actually. It's close to around 12 pages because it goes into into each word of it and tries to explain the nature of absolute truth that we are now going to study. So Vasudev is Lord Krishna, the divine son of Devaki and Vasudev, which will be explained later on in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So why is Krishna the supreme? That's the first point. Now, so someone will come and say Shiva is supreme. Someone else will say Narayana is supreme. Yet others will come and say, oh, no, this and this personality is the supreme. How do we understand this? So, like in mathematics, we establish a hypothesis and then we try to either prove it or disprove it. So, an axiom is set. So, here we set Krishna as the axiom of being the supreme. Okay, we understand, okay, Krishna is the supreme. Let us start from that point and let us see whether he displays the characteristics of the supreme or not. So, of course, there are greater literatures like Krishna Sandarbha, which is actually coming from Srimad Bhagavatam. Then there is Brahma Samhita. Then there is Vishnu Puran itself, which are explaining the nature of Krishna. But here we establish Krishna as an axiomatic truth. Now, here we are taking the proof from Bhagavad Gita. Actually, not even Lord Vishnu or Narayan have spoken Bhagavad Gita. It's Krishna only who says, Mama ekam sharanam vraja. So we try to understand it that way. So as we continue with our study of Bhagavatam, we will understand that supreme absolute truth manifests in many ways. So when we say Krishna, we mean Narayan, we mean Vishnu, we mean everything. When we say Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, what we mean is that this is the supreme personality. Krishna, Narayan, Vishnu are non-different. So in the neophytic stage of bhakti, we may sometimes make the mistake of thinking that Vishnu or Narayan are less than Krishna. They're not. In the science of spiritual life, in the science of the supreme, everything is superlative. Krishna may be a better personality than Narayan, but Narayan is not worse than Krishna. difficult to understand. This is achintya part. They are all one and the same absolute truth. They are manifested in different ways, and the characteristics which they manifest decide which personality is suitable for our meditation. So, because we are following in the footsteps of the Gaudiya Sampradaya, Madhva Sampradaya, therefore we accept Krishna as the supreme and we establish him as the supreme. There is no harm in accepting Lord Narayan as the supreme, but you must follow in the footsteps of the acharyas who have propounded that science. Otherwise, you will become confused and you will commit offenses. So, if you think, oh, Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, that means Vishnu or Narayan are inferior, then that's an offense. Or if someone worships Narayan and then he thinks, oh, maybe Lakshmi Narayan are superior, but Radha and Krishna are some inferior forms, that also becomes an offense. Therefore, Srimad Bhagavatam establishes the absolute truth as the primary step in trying to understand the spiritual science. So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna has declared himself. Krishna says, I am the supreme. Arjun affirms it. He says that previously great sages like Narad, Asit Deval have established you as the supreme, and now you are declaring yourself. So therefore, the great sages have accepted Krishna as the supreme. Krishna himself declares himself as the supreme, and scriptures like Srimad Bhagavatam and Upanishads have accepted Krishna as the supreme. Therefore, we accept him as the axiomatic truth at the moment. So when we say Vasudev, actually Vasudev is also a form of Narayan. In the 24 primary Vishnu Murtis or primary Narayana Murtis, one Murti is Vasudeva also. If you look at the cover of Srimad Bhagavatam, you will find the name there already. So Achyuta, Narsingha, Keshav, Vaman, so Vasudeva is also one of the personalities. In fact, Vasudev is one of the primary expansions of the Lord. Aniruddha, Sankarshana, Vasudeva, and Pradyumna. Vasudev is one of the four-handed forms of Narayan and also Krishna. So the Paramhansas are always meditating upon this. So at the very beginning, right from the very first verse, we are trying to establish meditation on the personality of Godhead and not on Paramatma or Brahma, which are partial expansions of the Supreme, as we are going to see later on. Hare Krishna. Does anyone have any questions or comments? Okay, then we continue. Would someone like to read the second paragraph? Or Ramtilak Prabhu, you can continue.
No problem. Vasudeva, or Lord Sri Krishna, is the cause of all causes. Everything that exists emanates from the Lord. How this is so is explained in later chapters of the work. The work is described by Mahaprabhu Sri Chaitanya as the spotless Purana because it contains the transcendental narration of the personality of Goddess Sri Krishna. The history of Srimad Bhagavatam is also very glorious. It was compiled by Srila Vyasdeva after he attained maturity in the transcendental knowledge. He wrote this under the instructions of Sri Naradaji, his spiritual master. Vyasdeva compiled all the Vedic literatures containing the four divisions of Vedas, the Vedanta Sutras, or the Brahma Sutras, the Puranas and the Mahabharata, and so on. But nevertheless, he was not satisfied. His dissatisfaction was observed by his spiritual master, and thus Narada advised him to write on the transcendental activities of Lord Sri Krishna. These transcendental activities are described specifically in the 10th canto of the work. But in order to reach the very substance, one must proceed gradually by developing knowledge of the categories. Shall I go on?
Yes, Prabhu. Next paragraph also.
It is natural that a philosophical mind wants to know about the origin of creation. At night he sees the stars in the sky. He naturally speculates about their inhabitants. Such inquiries are natural for man because man has a developed consciousness, which is higher than that of animals. The author of Srimad Bhagavatam gives a direct answer to such inquiries. He says that the Lord Sri Krishna is the origin of all creation. He is not only the creator of the universe, but the destroyer as well. The manifested cosmic nature is created at a certain period by the will of the Lord. It is maintained for some time and then it is annihilated by His will. Therefore, the supreme will is behind all cosmic activities. Of course, there are atheists of various categories who did not believe in a creator. But that is due to a poor fund of knowledge. The modern scientist, for example, has created space satellites, and by some arrangement or other, these satellites are thrown into outer space to fly for some time with the control of the scientist who's far away. Similarly, all the universes are with innumerable stars and planets are controlled by the intelligence of the personality of Godhead. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Hmm. So the first paragraph, obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Vasudev, was directly an explanation of the invocation Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Now, in the second paragraph, Vasudev or Lord Krishna is the supreme cause of all causes. Everything that exists emanates from the Lord. How this is so is explained in the later chapters of this work. So, this paragraph actually explains about this word Janmadya Asya Yato. Everything comes from here. Like I said, Bhagavatam, we need to go a bit slowly because the meanings here are very dense. Bhagavad Gita was still simpler. So, Bhagavad Gita is a part of Mahabharata Itihas. The language of Bhagavad Gita is actually the language of Puranas. Therefore, it's easy to understand. You know, Ashochan, Anvashocastam, Pragyavada, Bhashamscha Pragyavadamscha Bhashasi. Very simple. You are lamenting for something that is not lamentable while speaking while posing to be a great scholar. So Krishna has spoken. So it's the language is very easy flowing. Bhagavad Gita. That Sanskrit is Puranic Sanskrit. But Srimad Bhagavatam goes very Upanishadic. That means the Sanskrit is very densely packed. One word will have multiple meanings. So we need to go very slowly, very carefully. And while we are doing this, I will make one request to you. Please do not refer to any other material. If you want to really understand it more deeply, please try to read Srila Prabhupada's lectures on these verses, which we are discussing, or Srila Prabhupada's commentaries. But do not go anywhere else. Otherwise, you will get very confused. Because I have heard many speakers and I have understood that many of them don't really understand the subject matter of Bhagavatam very deeply. Therefore, they may confuse a little bit. So please go very deeply in what Srila Prabhupada alone is speaking. And this is very important if you really want to understand the Bhagavatam. And if you want to have the full understanding and impact of Bhagavatam on your consciousness. So, Janmadi Asyata, from here everything emanates. So, Janmadi, if we see, Janma Adi, creation, sustenance, and destruction, Asya, of the manifested universes, Yata, from whom, Anvayat, directly, Itarata, indirectly, Cha, and Artheshu, purposes, Abhigya, fully cognizant, Swarat, fully independent. So, the Lord is the cause of everything in this material world, directly and indirectly, and He is completely knowledgeable and He is completely independent. So, see, Asya Yata, whatever is here, whatever we see with our eyes, is emanating from the Lord. Now, here one may argue, but what about disgusting creatures like millipedes and centipedes and snakes? What about demons like Ravana? What about very demonic personalities like third class drug addicts lying in the gutters? No, everything is coming from the Supreme. And so sometimes, people argue. Like I was reading once one Jewish person arguing about this conundrum of the Lord that, either the Lord is not absolutely powerful or he is not absolutely merciful. If he is absolutely powerful, then is he allowing all the nonsense to go on in this world? Or if he is absolutely merciful, why is he allowing it? So that means only one is possible. Now, this is a Jewish Christian kind of a dilemma, but in Bhagavatam, it is all resolved. When we try to understand the supreme nature of the Lord and how his energies are interacting, the three modes of nature, how they are working, then all the contradictions are resolved in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Actually, the very first verse actually, summarizes everything that we are going to study later on. But if we meditate very carefully, very cautiously, the subject matter will become crystal clear. No more doubts regarding any religious dilemmas. Janmadi asyato invayat itarata. So, itarata, invayat itarata, directly or indirectly. Some things are directly created, some things are not. So did Krishna create Toyota Corolla? He didn't. Directly, he didn't do it, but indirectly. Some person was lusty and just wanted to create a car. So Krishna gave the intelligence. Okay, like a father gives a child some toy to play. Is the father playing with the toy? No. But is father the cause of that play? Is father the cause of the game? Yes, the father is the cause of the play. Because father has enabled all of this to happen. He gave birth to the child. He has taught the child how to play and he has provided the child with a toy to play. So father is the indirect cause of that play. He is not the direct cause. So likewise, the Lord has created this universe. So, so Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Daivi esha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya, this material world. And he says, Maya jakshena prakriti suyate sa characharam. So it is acting under my direction. Krishna has authorized, it is acting. So Krishna is the indirect cause of material creation. He has manifested these elements and the gunas and the qualities, and now they are working on their own. But it is always under the control of Krishna. So this now you see the history of Srimad Bhagavatam. Uh, this work is described by Mahaprabhu Sri Chaitanya as the spotless Purana. So why is this called spotless Purana? That will be the second verse actually. Why it is called spotless? Because Srimad Bhagavatam comes to the point directly. If you study Ramayana or Mahabharata, there are many narrations. Pastimes of Kekai, pastimes of Mandodari, so and so and so, which are unnecessary, which are even distracting. Lord Ram giving benedictions by which someone like Lord Ram is touching some lady and she becomes a lady and she feels happy. So all these pastimes, they are mixed with karma kand, enjoyment of material world. But Shrimad Bhagavatam is Amala Purana. It kicks out everything. Dharma projihito kaitavo atra. It just kicks out everything. Directly comes to the point of surrender to the Supreme Personality. If we want to say directly, Shrimad Bhagavatam is an expansion of the last two verses of Bhagavad Gita. Meditate on the Supreme Lord, abandon all other varieties of religion. That is Srimad Bhagavatam. The subject matter is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Having said that, Srimad Bhagavatam also talks about Lord Narayan and Lord Vishnu and all the manifestations of the Lord, not just Krishna. Krishna is the last subject matter of Bhagavatam. So, this literature was compiled in the maturity of the meditation of Vyasadeva. Vyasadeva is the literary incarnation of Krishna, his Shakti-Avesh avatar. He has compiled all the Vedas. So one day, he performs his Achaman and sits in meditation and looks into the future. And there he sees the horrible condition of Kali Yuga which is about to approach. Because Lord Krishna's pastimes have gotten over. He has left this world. So he's looking at the next Yuga which is going to come, the Kali Yuga, and he's trying to establish the religious codes for that Yuga which has to come. So when he sees the horrible degradation of Kali Yuga, he starts writing down Manda Sumanda Matayo. So the intelligence would be so less that people will have no energy, no memory left. In the previous ages, men were Shrutidhar. They could remember everything by simply hearing. But in the age of Kali, people will be Alpa Buddhi. Their intelligence and memory will diminish. So the Vedas were to be written down. So he wrote down all the Vedas, the commentaries on the Vedas, the Upavedas, he wrote everything down. But still he was not satisfied. So he spoke with his spiritual master, Sri Narad Muni, who advised him to continue further and describe what is the essential subject matter. So that essential subject matter is Srimad Bhagavatam, pure devotional service unto the Supreme Lord, rejecting all other forms of religions which are subsidiary. So the final subject matter is encased within the Srimad Bhagavatam in the form of the activities of Lord Krishna and his Rasa Leela, which is the subject matter of the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So Krishna here says, then Abhigya Swarat. So he's Abhigya. So we see, like for example, we go to a factory, we see so many machines are at work, wonderful machines. Some machine is cutting, some is punching, someone is assembling, robots are working, and we feel that this is a wonderful marvel of technology. But if we meditate carefully, we can see that there is a mind behind it. There has been an industrialist who thought, okay, I must make a car factory. And then he finds a few capitalists who are willing to invest. And then he assembles a team of engineers who put their brains together. The mechanical engineers design the machines, electronics engineers design the control systems, the industrial engineers arrange them in a way so that they are useful. In this way, many minds are working to make this magnificent manifestation of engineering. But the mind, there is one, the supreme, which is behind them. So just like that, Krishna is the creator and the destroyer, but he is the primary creator. So he expands himself first as Aniruddha Sankarshana Pradyumna Vasudev, then as Sankarshan he expands as Mahavishnu. As Mahavishnu, he creates this whole universe where all these activities are then done further by the demigods like Brahma, Shiva, Indra, Chandra, etc. So in this way, the Lord is Abhigya. He is complete. He is a complete creator. Actually, it is wonderful. This material universe is so wonderful. Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur says, Krishna tuya jagat adbhut. If you see, for example, if the earth moves 4 centimeters closer to sun, everyone will burn to death. And if it moves 4 centimeters behind, everyone will freeze to death. And yet, for millions and billions of years, since time immemorial, Earth has been going round and round. But we've had satellites like Apollo, Sputnik, INSAT, and these satellites have a definite life after which they are destroyed. So, just to make just to explain how great Krishna's intelligence is, you know, there is something called elliptical motion or satellite motion in physics. We study this in high school. Satellites. So, under proper conditions, under proper physical conditions, when a satellite revolves around another body, another planet, then according to the perfect pull of gravity, the satellite's motion is balanced and it continues to revolve without changing the orbit. But due to external forces, dust particles or very varied gravitational pulls, satellites which are sent into the space, they lose their orbit. So they have these little engines inside them. They are called retro engines, which are supposed to make the orbital engines, which always keep adjusting the orbit. Sometimes, in the old days, if you are watching satellite TV, you would get a message: satellite orbit positioning. Please excuse the delay in transmission. For 5-6 minutes, the television transmission would be gone, and after that, it would come back because at that time, satellite was adjusting its orbit, and then it started transmitting again. So those who have lived through the 90s would probably know this. So this satellite positioning is very delicately done. And after this fuel is spent, the satellite can no longer establish its orbit and it falls down either into the earth or it is simply lost in space. But Krishna's satellites, Earth, Sun, Moon, Venus, they're all in their orbits for billions and billions of years without changing their position at all. And they're sustaining the life perfectly. Everything is perfect within the material world. This is Krishna's intelligence. We're going to see this further in the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. But Krishna's intelligence is supreme. The scientist's intelligence is just a mere fraction of the intelligence of Krishna. Lord Brahma's intelligence is a mere fraction of Krishna's intelligence, and the scientist's intelligence is a mere fraction of Brahma's intelligence. So in this way, we can see how great Krishna is. Okay, so we stop here today. The time is up. Thank you very much, everyone. Are there any questions or comments? Please feel free. This subject matter is going to be very complex. Please be absolutely sure of whatever it is. Don't feel shy that this question sounds bad or silly or anything. Yes, please.
So, Prabhu.
Okay, so then we stop here today. Thank you very much, everyone, and wish you a very happy new year and hope that your Krishna consciousness continues to grow. And please feel free in this group to ask any questions.
Prabhu, so we have covered, we can say the paragraphs that we covered is touching the first line of the shloka.
Yeah, in a way, but we will continue.
Okay. Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण
Hare
श्रील
Krishna.
प्रभुपाद
Thank you
की
so
जय।
much.
Jai.
Jai.
हरे
Thank
कृष्णा
you very
प्रभु
much.
जी,
Thank you.
दंडवत प्रणाम।
हरे
Dandavat
कृष्णा
pranam.
दंडवत
Thank
प्रणाम।
you, Prabhuji.
Hare
थैंक यू
Krishna.
माता जी।
Dandavat pranam.
हरे
Srila
कृष्ण।
Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you all the
Jai.
devotees.